Hi Nick here. It's the end of June and we're celebrating a little bit of sunlight after all the rain we've had in the last few weeks. As some of you know, the Cape has been a very stormy place to be. We've had flooding in the valley with the Dwas River coming down at a huge speed and eating away into some of the banks here. Luckily on Rondekop, where we're standing now, we've had very little damage, and that is due to, first of all, alien clearing. We cleared all the black wattle and all the alien trees that were here. So our riverways that go down to the Dwas River coming out of the mountain were all open. And then secondly, we planted a lot of cover crops. So we've planted barley this year, and of course that cover crop and the barley and the roots holding down the swirls and preventing the swirl from washing away. Also the stems of the cover crop also stopping the flow of the water, so very little erosion on Oldenburg at all. But today's about celebration, and I'm standing here celebrating the Stone Axe Syrah, and in the background here we've got the Stone Axe vineyard. We're at 410 meters above sea level. And for the first time in the history of Stone Axe, we've actually added 15% Grenache Noir. And here to the left of me, on the southeasterly side of Rondekop, we've got our old bushvine Grenache vineyard, which was planted with the idea to blend into Stone Axe. But of course, as you know, if you're one of our wine club members, it's a wine we bottle on its own. But when I put the 2021 Stone Axe together, I was looking for that lovely aromatics that you get from the Grenache and that lovely fresh acidity. So I decided to do some blending trials. Myself and Jürgen sat down, and 15% was the magic number that made that wine. An amazing wine which is aged in a combination of 500 and 300 litre French oak barrels. And then we also used a 2,500 litre Austrian oak foudre. So for you that don't know, that's an oak tank. So 2,500 litre oak tank. This is our Grenache Noir bushvine vineyard, and as you can see, every one of these vines actually has a big rock up against it, and the reason for that is because the southeaster comes over from the mountain out of Amanus, funnels into the valley and hits Rondekop at a huge speed. So this rock or boulder was placed here to actually keep the vine in place when it was still young. These vines are starting to age beautifully now, making amazing Grenache, hence the reason why we're actually blending a little bit into the Stone Axe at the moment. As you know, Syrah is a big focus on Oldenburg. At the back, some of our oldest vineyards, which are now going on for 18 years old, which we use for the Stone Axe. But then we've also replanted one of our terraced vineyards, the block called T1, that used to be a trellis vineyard, but got so beaten up by the southeaster that we actually cut it down and we've created it into a bush vine, and that vineyard is doing really well. We've actually pulled off our first small little crop off it this year. And then right down here and below the Grenache, where our Viognier vineyard used to be, we've actually planted Syrah, and we've planted Stockbay Palki Syrah there, about 8,000 vines per hectare, so really high density Stockbay Palki or Echelay Syrah. So we've planted a clone from the Rhone there. The vineyards are young. I mean, they were only planted in September last year, but we're expecting some amazing cool climate Syrah coming from this slightly cooler site on Rondekop.
Hi everybody, I'm George Young, the head sommelier of Oldenburg Vineyards tasting room. Now that Nick has taken you through the vineyards, you know, we can at least show you now why we've named the Stone Axe, and it's due to these stone axes that we display quite nicely here in the tasting room. They were found on the Rondekop itself, and this is our honor to the stone axes. So yeah, in our glass now we've got the Stone Axe itself. For the first time ever, Oldenburg has put a little bit of Grenache into the blend itself, bringing out beautifully fresh red fruit, these awesome rose petal florals. But you know, the Syrah itself is the predominant part of the wine, and you're still giving you these super dense dark plums and lovely baking spice. So on the nose, as I said, you know, you've got those Grenache, that Grenache that stands out quite nicely, these lovely fresh red fruit, the rose petal florals. The Syrah is extremely dense with these lovely dark fruit and the baking spice that do come through. There's a slight leathery note coming through as well, but I'm going to put it on the palate now because that's the best part. So yeah, the one thing I do love about all the Syrah on our estate is the entry point on the palate. This wine is extremely velvety, even at its youth. I mean, it is a 2021 vintage, but it's drinking beautifully. We've got very limited quantities, and in the near future, this is going to be a wine that's purely on allocation. So, while we've got it in the tasting room, come through and taste some. I mean, there's no better place to be in winter than Oldenburg and our reds.